It's late at night, and two young guys are on a call with a wealthy cryptocurrency investor, posing as customer support agents from Google and Gemini, the two most trusted names in the tech and crypto world. They create a sense of urgency, warning the investor about suspicious activity on his accounts to make him worried enough to act quickly. With just the right blend of authority and panic, they guide him through security steps that seem essential, but in reality, play right into their hands. In a matter of minutes, they convince him to disable two-factor authentication, opening the doors to his account. But they're not seasoned hackers with difficult tools. Instead, they use social engineering, essentially a mind game so well crafted that it makes you wonder how easily trust can be shattered. These two, barely out of their teens, aren't cracking codes. They're cracking confidence, manipulating someone into giving them direct access to an account holding $250 million. So, naturally, this heist wasn't about breaking into systems. It was about breaking down a person's guard. But how did they pull it off? And where did all that crypto end up? And was it a masterful success? Or just a reckless move that blew up in their faces? On August 18, 2024, a man in Washington, D.C. woke up to a financial nightmare. His cryptocurrency wallet, holding over 4,100 Bitcoin, had been completely drained, a devastating loss worth around $250 million. The strangest part? He hadn't been hacked in the traditional sense. No one had broken through a firewall or installed malware to access his funds. Instead, the masterminds behind the heist, Malone Lam and Gan Serrano, used a much simpler, yet highly effective method: social engineering. Social engineering doesn't require complex coding or advanced tech skills. It's a hacking method that targets human emotions instead of computer systems, preying on fear, trust, and urgency. Basically, it's psychological manipulation, convincing someone to willingly hand over sensitive information, like passwords or account access, by making them believe they're in immediate danger. Malone and Serrano knew this approach would be easier than attempting a high-stakes cyber attack. So instead of directly breaking into the man's crypto wallet, a complicated process that would leave more tracks, they contacted him and spun a story that played directly into his fears. They managed to convince him that his account had already been compromised and that his funds were at risk unless he took swift action. Relying on urgency and trust, they urged him to secure his assets by transferring them to a supposedly safer account, which, of course, they controlled. This tactic isn't new, but its simplicity is what makes it so dangerous. Unlike traditional hacks, social engineering doesn't rely on cracking passwords or bypassing security systems. It's all about getting the target to believe the lie and act on it. And in this case, it worked almost perfectly. So how did they pull this off? According to the indictment, on August 18, 2024, Malone and Serrano contacted the victim, posing as customer support agents from Google and Gemini, two highly trusted names in tech and crypto. They warned him of suspicious activity on his account, creating a sense of urgency and making him feel his funds were at immediate risk. This isn't unheard of. In fact, something similar happened to billionaire Mark Cuban just a few months earlier. Cuban reported getting 4 calls in a row from what looked like a legitimate Google Assistant number, all claiming that someone was accessing his account from an unknown device. As soon as he answered one of the calls, the person on the line walked him through what he thought was an account recovery process. Malone and Serrano used the exact same approach with their victim. Once they had him on the line, they led him to believe his account was already in danger and only they could help secure it. Understandably, the victim panicked and did exactly as they told him. What's clever and frightening about their method is that they didn't need to hack any passwords. Instead, they convinced the victim to disable two-factor authentication, TFA, a security feature that's supposed to keep accounts safe by requiring a second verification step. Normally, even if someone has your password, they still need a unique code sent to your phone or email to log in. But with TFA disabled, Malone and Serrano now had open access, but they weren't done yet. Now, with no extra security layers in place, they guided the victim through a series of safety steps that ultimately led him to transfer his entire balance to an account controlled by the scammers. It's a classic move in social engineering scams: build trust, create urgency, and then walk the target right into their own trap. Then Malone turned to Serrano, saying, "We got him on any desk." By that point, he'd already guided the victim through restoring his wallet, creating a new backup, and syncing it to OneDrive. Now, for their plan to work, they needed total control of the victim's computer. So, how'd they do it? They instructed him to download AnyDesk, a remote desktop application that lets someone control your computer from anywhere. Once the victim installed it, Malone and Serrano gained unrestricted access to everything on his computer, including the private keys to his Bitcoin Core wallet. Picture this wallet as a vault holding all his Bitcoin. With those private keys, it was like handing them the combination to a safe. Within minutes, they clicked a few buttons and transferred the entire fortune into accounts they controlled. Now, you'd think after stealing a huge amount as $250 million, they'd lie low and keep things quiet. But that's not what these guys did. Instead, they went on a spending spree that was as wild as it was reckless. Again, CC according to the indictment, they splurged millions on luxury cars, private jets, designer watches, handbags, and even properties in both LA and Miami. They didn't stop there though. A video even surfaced of them at a nightclub in Miami, giving away over $500,000.
Oh wow.
No way. No way.
I see it.
It's on the blockchain. It's on the blockchain, bro.
No f***ing way, nigga.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
No f***ing way.
$243 million! Yes!
Holy f***, nigga.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Bro, I'm gonna spaz out! Yo! We're done! We're done! I'm spazzing out! Do you know how much money that is?
It's a quarter of a bill.
Probably.
Split 3 ways or is it 4 ways? That's
Oh!
That's pretty pretty funny. Pretty 10 pretty bunnies.
I'm gonna lose my Yo! How do I... hold on.
Clubgoers around them were baffled, wondering who these high rollers were, as Malone and Serrano spent between $300,000 and $600,000 in a single night. And if you thought that was excessive, Malone took it a step further. He went out and bought a bright pink 2024 Lamborghini Urus for a girl who didn't even like him, so she rejected him. Honestly, imagine pulling out all the stops, dropping serious cash on a pink Lamborghini, and still getting turned down. That's next level rejection right there. To top it off, he randomly gifted another woman in the club a $30,000 purse. It's almost painful to watch. Their flashy spending only seemed to underline how desperate they were for attention. But the louder they got, the more eyes they drew. Despite pulling off one of the biggest crypto scams in history, Malone and Serrano didn't exactly go out of their way to cover their tracks. While Malone and Serrano may have thought they were untouchable, they seriously underestimated one thing: the blockchain. The blockchain works like a public ledger, recording every transaction ever made with cryptocurrency. Although the duo tried to hide their tracks by sending the stolen Bitcoin through crypto mixers, services designed to disguise the origin of cryptocurrency, every transaction still left a trace on the blockchain. That's where investigators like ZachXBT step in. Zach, a well-known crypto detective, specializes in tracking down stolen Bitcoin by carefully tracing the digital breadcrumbs left behind on the blockchain. Despite their efforts to outsmart investigators by using advanced techniques like VPNs to mask their IP addresses and peel chains, breaking large amounts of Bitcoin into smaller, harder-to-trace transactions, their arrogance and extravagant spending habits left clues pointing right back at them. The blockchain kept a record of their movements, making it possible for someone as skilled as Zach to follow the trail they left behind. But if their flashy spending wasn't enough to expose them, their sheer overconfidence sealed the deal. Not only were they blowing through millions like it was pocket change, but they were also boasting about it on Discord. If you're wondering what self-snitching looks like, these two were the perfect example. They even recorded themselves bragging about how easy it had been to swindle $250 million, sharing details about how they'd manipulated the victim and spent the money while laughing about how they believed they were untouchable. Adding to their incredible lack of caution, they filmed themselves mid-heist, capturing their reactions when the money actually hit their accounts. The videos were filled with disbelief and euphoria, with quotes like, "Oh my God, 243 million, bro, I'm gonna spaz out. Do you know how much money that is? $250 million. They could barely contain themselves, clearly stunned by what they'd managed to pull off. But these recordings, which they had so carelessly documented, would become their undoing. When investigators finally got hold of the footage, it was game over. Every laugh, every boast, every careless word only solidified the evidence against them, leaving no room for escape. The blockchain may have kept its digital trail, but their own voices were the ultimate testimony to their crime. Their voices, their confessions, all wrapped up neatly and ready for the FBI. On an unsuspecting Wednesday night, the FBI, backed by Miami police, raided a waterfront mansion near Miami shores, shocking neighbors awake. "We heard loud booms. We thought something big was going down in the neighborhood. There were cops everywhere," one neighbor shared. This house, usually a short-term rental for partygoers, was known for loud music and late nights. But tonight, it hosted a different kind of event, the arrest of 20-year-old Malone Lam and a 21-year-old accomplice from Los Angeles. Together, they were accused of stealing and laundering over $230 million in cryptocurrency, about 4,100 Bitcoin, from a single victim in Washington, D.C.
The FBI swarmed a luxury home in Miami in a raid connected to the theft of cryptocurrency. The government says it's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Authorities took Malone Lam into custody. At the same time, the FBI arrested Jandiel Serrano in Los Angeles. They say he's connected to the same investigation. They're charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and conspiracy to launder money.
Both were charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and conspiracy to launder money, facing up to 20 years in prison if convicted. And as for the unfortunate victim, unlike bank accounts, crypto isn't protected by the FDIC or any other safety net. So, will he ever get his money back? It's anyone's guess, and we might never know. The case stirred up mixed reactions from the public. Some people felt sorry for the victim, but others weren't so sure he deserved sympathy, questioning how someone from DC came to have $230 million in crypto. Many others just called them dumb, and honestly, it's hard to argue with that. Their reckless decisions and over-the-top spending made it clear they weren't thinking straight. It's one thing to pull off a massive scam, but to flaunt it like that. Yeah, they definitely played themselves. So, what's your take? Was this a situation where a big-time player got a dose of karma, or did these young guys simply throw away an incredible opportunity with their reckless spending and bragging? Share your thoughts in the comments, because this story serves as a reminder that sometimes the loudest voices attract the most trouble.